Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Swannanoa Valley. If I could ask at this time if everyone would please silence their cell phones. Thank you very much. My name is Rochelle Broom, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to you, old friends and new, young and old. You are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we're stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, and many stories. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism, I encourage you to take note of our mission statement, which is printed on the front of your order of service. We also work together to promote and practice the 8 principles, which are printed on the inside of your order of service. It is our tradition to welcome first and second time visitors and those of you who may not have been here for a while to stand if you're comfortable doing so and introduce yourself to us and tell us where you are from. Can we start on this side?
Lee Dennis, Asheville. Second.
Welcome. I feel a little bit like a visitor because I haven't been here in a while, but I'm really not. But when they did away with my name tag, very offensive.
Well, welcome back. We'll get you another name tag. Sorry about that.
Hi, I'm a newbie. My name is Terry.
Hi, Terry. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Is there anybody else on this side? Don't want to miss anybody. All right, well, let's flip to the other side. Anybody over here?
Yeah, I'm Frank Rosati. I used to be a member here. I'm basically a member in Moorhead City. Things have changed, and I'm going to go from Microsoft. I'm back.
Welcome back.
And I'm Betty Lord, and I'm from Vermont.
Welcome.
I'm Gary Lord. We're visiting the Fultons, and I'm also from Vermont. We attend the Unitarian Church in Montpelier.
Welcome. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm Fred. I've been to a This is the first time in a church like this, and I'm looking for a place.
Welcome. Glad you joined us today. Anyone else on this side? All right, great. Well, welcome to you all. Thank you for being here. If you're interested, was there somebody else?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, yeah, please.
Hi, I'm Myra Show, and I used to work here. And I love this place.
Welcome back. Yes.
Can I reintroduce myself? My name is Terry Lenhart, and Ann and Jim Lenhart used to be residents around this area. I don't know if anyone knows them. They've passed, but just thought I'd say thank you.
Welcome. All right, last call. Last call. If you're interested in learning more about us or you would like to receive our newsletter or find out how you can be more involved in this community, there's a white card in the back of the pews. If you don't see one there, there are some on the table out in the foyer. Please fill it out and give us your vital information for contact and how you'd like to be contacted, and we will reach back out to you. You can also speak with one of our membership committee members. Those will be folks that will have an orange name tag on. So if you see one of those, you can ask some questions. And Carol is demonstrating for us there. All right, announcements. We have lots of announcements today going on. If you haven't seen the survey yet that came out in the Current, please complete the survey and submit it. And if you like paper and pen, we have some out on the table in the foyer, and there's a box for surveys, so please avail yourself of that as well. Number 2 is Potluck Sunday, so please hang around and join us for a little repast afterwards, and thank you so much to all of the great volunteer congregants who cook and bake and shop and do all kinds of things to make sure we have some good things to eat out there. So thank you. Next Friday night, I believe it's at 7 o'clock, our own resident writer, Shelley Fromm, has written another book, and he's going to be doing a book signing here at 7 p.m. on Friday. All the proceeds from that book signing will be donated to UUCSV. So if you've got a little time, come stop by. If you've never read one of Shelley's books, you are missing a treat. So I take Shelley on cruises with me via his books. Just a couple more. May 19th, there will be a special congregational meeting. This isn't our annual meeting. That occurs in June. That'll be on June 9th. But May 19th, we will have a 12:30 all congregation members meeting to discuss the bylaws and updates. We've taken a deep dive and looked at the language and added some things and try to clarify some things. We want to talk some more about proxy voting because that came up at last June, and right now proxy voting wasn't allowed, but we're reopening that and providing some potential language around that. So please plan on joining us. We'll get all the information for the agenda and the materials for you to review before the meeting out to you at a minimum 2 weeks before the meeting. So I wanted you to know that's coming. And my last one is that thank you to all of the folks who have volunteered to step forward to be on next year's board. We have a great slate of people who are interested. And I'll also let you know that our treasurer position is going to be open as of July 1st. So anybody out there with maybe a little finance background or bookkeeping or just an interest, someone who would work with our accountant and work with our finance team, that would be, talk with me, talk with Larry Perlman, who's in the back of the room running sound today. But we're looking for a few good people. All right. That is the end of my announcements. The last thing I'd like to do before I step down is to do our Native peoples acknowledgement. It's our practice to acknowledge that the land we are now gathered on has not always been ours to call home. UUCSB acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the ancestral home of the Cherokee and other indigenous people. The Cherokee, through stewardship, understanding, and conservation, survived and thrived in this land. We acknowledge their enduring connection to their homeland. Now let our service begin.
Good morning. Well, if you weren't awake, you are now. Good morning, UUs. I was asked to speak this morning a little bit about our church and music program because it's dear to my heart. So I appreciate the opportunity to stand up here before you today and boom at this microphone. So from the first time I ever walked in here and heard our Reverend Carter speak, I knew that I was in a place that I could call home. A place where diversity is celebrated, where kindness is abundant, and where the pursuit and truth of understanding is paramount. One of the aspects of the community that has enriched my life, undoubtedly, is the choir. I've never been a part of a choir before, and it has taught me that I indeed am creative, allowing me to notice and appreciate my own gifts. The act of coming together with others to raise our voices in harmony is nothing short of magical. It transcends language and culture, connecting us on a deeper level than words ever could. In those moments of singing together, we become one united voice, expressing our shared humanity and our collective hopes and dreams for a better world. But it's not the music itself that makes being part of the choir so special. It's the sense of camaraderie and support that exists among its members. Whether we're rehearsing for an upcoming service or simply enjoying each other's company, we can feel that connectiveness between us. There's a bond that unites us, a bond forged through the shared love of music, and commitment to sending joy and compassion in our community and beyond. And so as I reflect on my time at this Unitarian church, I am filled with gratitude for the friendships I've formed, the lessons I've learned, and the love I've felt. Each Sunday as we gather together in this sacred place, I'm reminded of the power of community, the importance of connection, and the beauty of shared understanding. Thank you, dear friends and mentors, for being a beacon of light in a world that so often feels so dark and divided. Thank you for welcoming me with open arms and for allowing me to be part of something truly special. And thank you for the gift of music, a gift that has enriched my life in ways I could never have imagined. May we continue to lift our voices in song. May we continue to strive for justice and equality. And may we continue to walk this path together, hand in hand, knowing that we are stronger together than we ever could be. With love and light, I thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Good morning. A wonderful morning. And I want to share with you these opening words from Unitarian Universalist Edward Shemp. Unitarian Universalism is faith in people, hope for tomorrow's children, confidence in a continuity that spans all of time. It looks not to a perfect heaven, but toward a good earth. It is respectful of the past, but not limited to it. It is trust in growing and conspiracy with change. I'll read that again. That's a little tough, isn't it? It is trust in growing and conspiracy with change. Who likes change? It is spiritual responsibility for a mortal tomorrow. So, having said that, I invite you to rise as you are willing and able and join in singing our opening hymn, number 122, Sound Over All Worlds. Please be seated. Our responsive reading this morning is 437, written by Unitarian Universalist humanist Kenneth Patton. Let us worship. Let us worship with our eyes and ears and fingertips.
Let us love the world through heart and mind and body.
We feed our eyes upon the mystery and revelation in the faces of our brothers and sisters.
We seek to know the wistfulness of the very young and the very old, the wistfulness of people in all times of life.
We seek to understand the shyness behind arrogance, the fear behind pride, the tenderness behind clumsy strength, the anguish behind cruelty.
All life flows into a great common life if we will only open our eyes to our companions.
Let us worship not in bowing down, not with closed eyes and stopped ears.
Let us worship with the opening of all the windows of our beings, with the full outstretching of our spirits.
Life comes with singing and laughter, with tears and confiding, with a rising wave too great to be held in the mind and heart and body, to those who have fallen in love with life.
Let us worship and let us learn to love.
This is the time in the service when I invite you to come up and share a joy or concern, or both. You have the elements here, at least some of them. You have water and you have fire. So you get to choose which one you want to use. And the floor is yours. I want to, forgive me a moment, to add some things. Okay. First thing is Ann Silman may need a ride to church. There's a link in the Current, I'm told, from Carolyn Shorkey, so you can sign up. Alice Wells and David Wells usually give her a ride home after the service. Mary Soyanova swam the 500 meters in 21 minutes and 24 seconds. And so we celebrate that. And
I
I'm
have
sorry.
to say that I'm afraid I'm aging out because there are no other women my age who are willing to put on a bathing suit, jump into the water, and swim for 20 minutes instead of in front of strangers. But I'll keep at it.
Hold on. Okay, this is from Jim Carrillo. His wife, Aline, has been diagnosed with multiple myeloma. It's a serious blood cancer, and she's traveling to a specialized clinic in Arkansas for more tests to determine what's next on that journey. Jim will join her for the results with the doctors on Thursday. So please keep both of them in your thoughts and prayers. They are expecting a difficult and hopefully prolonged journey ahead. So yeah, we will do that. What else? There's one more thing, but I'll get to it. I'm going to drop a stone for those of you who, for whatever reason, did not want to do that this morning. And just know that we keep you in our thoughts and prayers. And on a lighter note, I want you to join me in singing Happy Birthday to Fletcher. And so I guess we're going to do it a cappella. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Fletcher. Happy birthday to you. All righty, let us do. So let's center ourselves and join in the spirit of prayer and meditation, and we'll have a time of quiet afterwards. So center yourselves as you see fit. This is called a time and a place for soul searching. We gather together this day to be refreshed and renewed. This is a time and place for soul searching, soul stretching. We have, over the course of the last week, given thought to our bodies, stretched them in various ways. We have walked and talked. We have exercised and examined. We have watched our diets, and we have groomed our bodies. We have committed time and resources to our physical selves. This is a time and a place set aside for the sake of our souls. That mysterious and mystical place that is at our very core. That region of ourselves we neglect at our peril. That source of the uniqueness that we are. That vital center of consciousness and conscience. Here may our minds be stretched by the challenge of new ideas. Here may our feelings be stretched to new heights and depths. Here may our values be stretched in new dimensions. It is time to put aside littleness of spirit, opening ourselves to the best that is within us. And here we take the limits of our vision to far horizons. Here we loosen our cramped spirits to the freedom of growth and our unlimited possibilities for adventure. Here we transcend our pettiness by new largeness of life. It is good to grow. It is good to evolve. This is a time and place for soul stretching. Let us exercise well. And now, while our minds are one for this brief moment, I lead you with the eloquence of silence. And so it is. We will now collect this morning's offer. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. I want to talk this morning about anger, boundaries, and the word no. It took me, I don't know how many years, many years, to finally get it, and some good therapy, some alcohol at times, and other things at times. But it took me many years to get it that I wasn't a victim in life. And all the anger that I had, and still do, but for different things, in my life, early life in general, was because I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to say no, and I didn't have good boundaries then, and I guess it made it even worse, I didn't know that I didn't know that I didn't have good boundaries, you see, because I was trained to be nice. I'm a nice guy. You know, you hear the old bromide, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. It's a great setup for people who could to abuse you, but I couldn't say no, and any nice guy or gal does not really say no to anyone because you might hurt their feelings. You might hurt them. An illustration may be in order. When I went out to dine on my own and with friends occasionally, many years ago, if I was at a table in a restaurant and a person or a group of people sent their food back, it would irritate me because I was so nice. And it seemed like they were being rude. I mean, you have to own this for yourself. I'm just giving you my take on this. And see, I didn't want to make waves. Let's not make a scene. I didn't want to hurt the white person's feelings. And so it just seemed so not nice. When I was in chaplaincy training, which was hard, it was very difficult, but there was a woman in the group who I will say that ministry was not really her calling. It really wasn't. I mean, you know, Stevie Wonder could see that this was not where she should have been. And so, even the supervisor knew it, which was interesting because she took her money. But my point being is that, but she held everybody hostage because if you said something to her, she would start crying. She would get defensive and she wouldn't, you know, she would take everything personally. And it got to the point where, myself included, we felt we couldn't talk to her because she would just melt in front of you. And it was tough going, and during every week we had a session where we would critique each other because we had to write verbatims. What did you say to the patient? What did you see in their rooms? What did you say to the? I mean, it was intense, and luckily I was in therapy because my supervisor felt that he said all my chaplains, all ministers should be in therapy. So when you walk into people's rooms, you're not shooting from the hip. And because you do more damage. And when I first got ordained, I used to wear a collar, but I stopped wearing a collar. It was too austere. And when you walk into someone's room, they could just have a broken leg. When you walk in with a Roman collar, you have shut down. It's like, something I don't like. I'm just here because of a cough. So I used to wear these. I thought about that this morning. And I didn't get along with my supervisor because I wore these. Because she was very strict by the book, the Right Reverend Denise Haynes. Brilliant woman, by the way. And she didn't like me wearing, I thought I was lifting people's spirits, rather than coming in with, with the crucifix. But my point being is just that even though we didn't get along, she said to me one day, she said, "Do you really think that Celeste is so weak that whatever you have to say to her would break her?" And I said, "Well, what are you looking at me for? Why don't you talk?" but she came to me. And anyway, we got through that by not just being nice with Celeste, but telling her truth. You know, because maybe you've met people like that. Maybe you've been in relationships with people like that. They're so nice that they hurt. You can't be real with them because if you don't have the boundary, you don't know how to say anything to them, which doesn't help you grow and it doesn't help them grow. One of my favorite therapists, John Bradshaw, once told a story about in a lecture called The Price of Nice. And he was talking about after a mass shooting, mass killings in the headlines. And the media would almost always invariably go to, people who live next door to this individual or what have you, neighbors and friends. And the first thing the neighbors would say was they had no idea who they were living next to, but they would, or who their friends were, but they would always say, this person was just so nice. I had no idea he was capable of this, but they were just so nice. And, I understand that. So-and-so was a wonderful neighbor, but meanwhile they just killed 45 people. But they were just so nice, as if niceness was a mark of character, is what I want you to hear. And we get suckered into this all the time. How many times have you met a Mr. or Mrs. Nice or dated some that they were so nice and they've been a pain in the butt for your whole life? You got to get away from it. You can't get rid of them. But they're so nice. How many of you have had to break up a relationship with someone who really aggravated you, but they were just so nice? And so we're not saying don't be nice. We're just saying be authentic. Be real. But if you don't know what that is, you are jammed up. And so I had not yet realized that it was okay to be both nice and real at the same time, because I was taught to be a people pleaser. And I had this armor around me that I didn't know I had. I was always taking care of someone else's feelings, which in some ways is a way of being in control. See, I'm taking care of you so I can kind of control the situation. Now, I wasn't asked to do this. This is how I was trying to get accepted. This was how I was trying to navigate life. And so I didn't have any boundaries. And people who don't have boundaries won't respect yours. And if you're walking through life doing that with people, if they don't appreciate you being nice to them, if they don't appreciate you doing stuff for them, boy, I would get angry. And people, but it wasn't about them. It was about me. There were strings attached. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm a nice person. But at that time in my life, asking for what I really wanted, saying what I really meant, oh, what a concept. It took time for me to realize that much of my anger was at myself for not being able to say no in certain situations. And so I didn't have that boundary because I had been intimidated by anger for so long. I mean, what if they get angry with me? What if they leave? Right? I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but I think you recognize what I'm saying here. And I didn't see it modeled at home, and I'm talking about 250 years of therapy now, where people know about what boundaries are. I mean, my parents didn't know that, so I want to be fair. But what if someone got angry at me for what I said or thought? What if you leave the church? What if you stop being friends with me? What if I said something that hurt your feelings and oh my God, you got angry? The word no and the word yes is a one-sentence word, or at least it can be. And on some occasions, it really should be. When I was in Gestalt therapy in New York, one of the exercises, I went from one-on-one to a group, was to practice saying the word no. To practice it. The exercise was for us to get into pairs, and one person was to ask something that they wanted from another person, and you were to say no. Now, you couldn't get sleazy and ask someone, you didn't do that. But no matter what they asked you, you had to say no. It was an interesting exercise. The next step the therapist had us do, in his toolbox, was us to walk around in everyday life, just practicing saying no. And we did this for about a week. Just whenever we were alone, we practiced saying no. And we were told to do this wherever and whenever we could, even in front of the mirror, if need be, just so you could see how it made you feel. Did your nostrils flare? Did you catch that? Did your lips quiver? Did your voice crack? Did you really swallow? Just watching it. Because for many people, it is difficult to say no. Maybe your eyes kind of twitched. It was just very difficult. So we would practice saying no, and we were told we could give an explanation for why we were saying no. That was relatively easy. However, the final step was to do it with another person, but with a slight hitch. We were told not to give an explanation for saying no. He said, no, I don't want to do that. For old people pleaser like me, that was tough. We were just to say the word no to someone if they asked you to do something or we didn't want to do it. It was tough for me personally because I didn't get to explain. You see, the word no is a what? It is a boundary. I get to see where I leave off and you begin, and vice versa. If you can't say the word no, you can get into some awkward situations in your life. You can get into some awkward sexual situations in your life, doing things you don't want to do because the person's just so nice. And if you can't say the word no, you wind up doing things you don't want to do, and then you regret them, and you get angry. You may be angry at the person you're interacting with, but many times we're angry at ourselves for letting ourselves down by not being the person or people we say we are. And perhaps, depending on the way we grew up, we may feel we really don't have a right to say no. Perhaps we are intimidated by another person's anger and never learned how to handle it. Perhaps we're afraid of our own anger and rage. Not having a boundary or the ability to say no is like having a country without borders. Anybody can just come in. Folks can enter your space at will. There's no security. And if you don't have to say no, how, guess what you're going to do? You're going to become passive aggressive. You'll be doing things you really don't want to do in your life. I once heard someone describe passive aggressiveness as being like a dog who's happy to see you and who jumps up to lick your face, and at the same time, they're peeing on your leg. It's just not the healthiest way that you want to go through life, not being able to say no to someone. And there are different boundaries. They're different. For instance, they're physical boundaries. I get to say who touches me and how. I get to say that. I may say you can touch me, and then I can say, you know what, I changed my mind. I'm not really comfortable with it. That's an example of a physical boundary. They're emotional boundaries. I came up with, I couldn't feel sad, I couldn't feel scared. Well, I'll give you something to feel sad about. What do you say? Well, there's nothing to be sad about. So you can't have your feelings. Or if you say to someone, this is what I'm feeling, or this is who I am, and they say, well, I see you this way. Or they can't let that's an emotional boundary. And then there are, of course, the intellectual boundaries, where, you know, where'd you get an idea like that, Michael? You can't sit at this table thinking like that, young man, young lady. You can't do it. Where'd you get an idea like that? You can't come in here thinking like that. Those are just the examples. And if you grow up with that, it's repressed. It's not good for your colon or your nervous system, and you may hurt somebody. Boundaries are difficult. I remember when I first heard a talk about boundaries, the therapist started out with it, and you may be able to relate to this. A mother's love knows no boundaries. Learning the difference between secrecy and privacy. That's a good one. Because a lot of people don't get that. If I don't share something with you, and I don't necessarily have to be, it's not secretive, and even if it is, it's my business. But this is private. This is between me and so-and-so. You feeling what I'm saying here? This is important for spiritual growth. They can be difficult when we've been conditioned to just be nice and to place other people's feelings above our own, but it comes at tremendous cost. When we get over being shocked, there were times when someone may have insulted me or said something to me that I didn't like, but I had so much body armor on, you know, I didn't know, that it couldn't get in. I'd get angry 2 days later. You know, I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know what I was feeling. Because I was taught about this mask. You know, I get that, well, listen, 3 or 4 days later, that's better than nothing. But that's how detached we can be about what's really going on with ourselves. And after you regain your center, then you can respond. And this is what is important. Just as the other individual has a right to their truth, we have a right to ours. Yet many times we don't even realize what our truth is, really, because we've not taken the time to, what is it that we feel? A lot of things that you may believe now may not serve you anymore. But when was the last time you reflected about it? They may have worked. You know, I use the example of my friends who served in Southeast Asia. The survival techniques they needed in the jungle, they needed that. But then the next day, they're halfway around the world here, and they haven't had time to adapt, to change. And so their lives were a challenge. Until we remedy this, we will not be the people that we say we want to be. One way to do this, and it's scary, but it is not to allow people to take advantage of us by their temper tantrums, by their bullying, by their consistent, you know, when you want to say, look, this is over. This is one way that you stand up for yourself. You know, no personal insults, no crying, no intimidation, because hurt people, what? Hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. Even if that person is coming from an emotional wound, which we all are. But John Bradshaw said that we're all wounded, and we all have our wounds, but just because you are wounded, you don't get the chance to bleed all over me. There comes a time when you have to deal with your own wounds. If you don't like change, then you need to go see somebody about that. If you don't like being uncomfortable, then you need to see somebody about that. So I can have empathy, I can be authentic, I'm talking about all of us, and I can still be able to say no. I can still be able to be authentic. These disciplines can be very challenging and confronting when one is attempting to change behavior patterns. Why? Because the more healed and at peace you become, the more grown up you become, the people around you, they're not going to like that. Nobody likes change but a wet baby. And so they will either stick with you or drop out of your life. And you got to be okay with that. You've got to be okay with that. Because when you change, people don't want to change. And you've been on both sides of that, I'm sure. But that's what, you just have to know that this is the person I'm becoming, and the universe will, the people who need to stay will stay, and the people, it doesn't make them bad people, but this is what you have to have the chance to risk to do, to not be intimidated by anger, and at the same time using yours appropriately. Because once you start setting these boundaries, people will change. You have to learn to ignore it. Anger is a biggie. Anger is the power of no. It's okay to say no to ignorance, to attachment, to aggression. It is natural to have a reaction to seeing ourselves or someone we love suffering. Of course, you don't want that. And I assume that everybody here this morning, each and every day, is trying to do something to be a better person today than they were yesterday. But it's okay to say stop to people. This is enough. Wake up. We have to wake up to the ways we deceive ourselves and others. It's okay to say enough. We all like the love that says yes. It feels good. But we don't like the love that says no, not so much. But the love that says no is, it can expose our many forms of denial because we've been comfortably asleep at the wheel for so long. It wakes us up to ourselves and how we cause ourselves and others to suffer. In a transformed existence, anger brings good to the world. In a transformed existence, it is the energy that inspires human rights, civil rights, great social justice causes. It is vital for every genuine spiritual path. In its untransformed existence, it causes aggression and endless suffering, from personal hurt to global warfare. The Buddha reminds us that holding on to anger is like having a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You wind up at Mission Hospital with third-degree burns. And so it's the most challenging spiritual lesson is being able to say no. We have heard this from every saint, philosopher, and advice columnist, so it's not new. The human ego is an adversary when it's not watched over. I'm not one of these people who says you got to get rid of the human ego. I'm not talking about that. But if you don't check it, it will convince you that hate is love and war is peace. It distorts our perspective on life because it's fear-based. But it's also part of human existence, so we need to be able to work with both of them without ignoring or excusing our lack of boundaries. Sometimes you will overreact, but you're aware of that, and then you can make amends, you can talk about it. But again, we're all suffering. Transformed anger is the wisdom of clarity. It is insight. Saying no is the gift that keeps on giving. We can strive to be better. It is not toxic, but you have to be able to do that. It's a waste of time trying to figure out other people's motives because sometimes we don't know why we do the things we do. And you can spend all your time taking people's inventory, trying to figure out why they do some of the things that we do. It's not that, anger's not the problem, it's the word no that's the problem. Our fear that we will distort. So it's not a boundary, we're going to build a wall, but you're not. Boundaries give ourselves and others the chance to be who we truly are. It's like when you stay in your lane when you're driving in a car. Right? You stay in your lane. This is what Robert Frost meant when he said good fences make good neighbors. Amen. Ashe. And blessed peace. So we're going to eat now, and that's good. And I wish I knew how. Our closing hymn, number 151. Please rise as you are willing and able.
feels to be free.
Okay, so again, happy birthday, Fletcher. Thank you, Maestro. Thank you, Sue. And you're going to get your rides. Jim, you will be in our thoughts and prayers. And you know, it's okay to clap every once in a while. I know sometimes, even if it's offbeat, just clap. Just get it out. Get it out, okay? And you get some food. Let's finish up. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, and puts to flight all of our fears, reconciles all of us who are separated. May that love be in us and among us, obviously, as long as we can, but at least until we meet again.
I lied, there is mac and cheese.
I told you that. I went out there and said, I need some mac and cheese. We didn't have any mac and cheese. Anyway, bon appetit.